to ask. I guess the recording is starting. Okay. I hope you hear well from remote, but here the audience, I guess the audio is okay. So let's start. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining again this new session of the Stockholm Meetup, MuleSoft Meetup event. I would like also to thank Salesforce and MuleSoft for the supporting of the group from a very early stage. And also, last but not least, thanks to Sirocco for providing the space and the logistics for the event. As you probably know, most of you, the main object of the event is to bring up the most relevant topic that have affected our customer and the market in general, and also with live demos to give you a clue of the real functionality of the product. Today, we are going to talk about electronic data interchange, also known as EDI. The standard and protocol have been around for decades, but they are having a huge impact on the digital transformation of many companies. So let me hand over the stage to my friend and mate, Luca Piras, for the first pitch of the event. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me well. Thank you, Alberto. So, as anticipated by Alberto, we are going to talk about EDI today. My name is Luca Piras. I'm a solution architect at Florence Next. And the agenda of my talk is introducing EDI, what are the standards and the protocols used, and then deep dive into the MuleSoft connector and the architecture that we can build with MuleSoft to support and manage EDI messages. And we'll finish also with a small demo, and then I will leave the stage for Anna that will show you Anypoint Partner Manager. So, what is EDI? How many of you know what EDI is? Someone. That's good. EDI is an automated exchange of business documents and standards. The main concept when we talk about EDI is that we need to distinguish between standards, which is basically the content of the message, what we are putting inside our messages, and the protocols. When we talk about protocols, we are talking about how we exchange them, so the transport method. And standards and protocol can be combined in many different ways. So, quick introduction about standards. EDI is been in place since a few decades now. So, during this time, many different standards have been created. So, maybe you can say it's not really a standard since we have many of them, but it is what it is. So, standard came out from different geographical area. For instance, German created this standard for automotive industry, or standard have been created for specific business sector. So, for instance, HL7, it's highly used in the health and insurance sector. And then we have the standard created by the International Commission, EDIFACT and X12. So, going into the detail for these two, these are the big player on the market right now. EDIFACT has been created by United Nations. It covers a big and wide range of messages and industries. And usually we will have around 2 or 3 releases every year. So this means that it's highly maintained and constantly updated. This is mostly used, is the most used in the EMEA area. And on the other side, we have X12 created by ANSI. It also covers almost all the different industries and business type, but this time this is the most used in the North America region. So these two are the standard, the big standard right now. Okay, let's give it a look at the different message type. So both in EDIFACT and X12, we have more than 200 message type. they cover a wide range of different messages. So for instance, if we think about the manufacturing sector, we have a set of messages to manage the orders, or purchase order, invoice, shipment method, and all of these. But it's not just limited to that, because we have also many type of message for the health, for insurance, or even for traveling. So if you check the last one, the PAX list, it's basically a message that will contain a list of passengers of a flight. So with EDI, we can really exchange many different type of messages. They both, EDIFACT and X12, they both cover all of them. They have different notation to identify the message. So for EDIFACT, they use a 6-character code. So orders, for instance, means an order. And X12, we have 3 digits number. So the corresponding of order in X12 is 850. Let's give a close look to an EDIFACT message. Here on the left, you have an example of an order EDIFACT message. It's basically a text file, and it's delimited by interchange character at the top and at the bottom. Each file can contain more than one message. And so we have delimiter also for the beginning and the end of each message contained. Then every row, it's a segment. The first 3 letters of the segment tell you what this segment contains. We have some example here. So this is an orders, as I said. So the segment that starts with LAN means this is a line item. So we are creating an order. We want to specify which item we want to buy. Then we have the QTY that specify the quantity. So we say, okay, I want this item and I want 10, 12, 1 million of them. Okay, so by combining this segment and the sub-segment, we are creating a complete order that can be shipped to one of our partners. Okay, now that we introduce the different standards, let's talk a little bit about the protocol. So how and how many different ways we have to ship and exchange them? Well, basically, EDI is not strict on specific protocols. So this means that theoretically, EDI message can also be sent through email. Of course, this is not the best idea probably, because you want to automatize this. And so we have many different options. We can use the good old FTP or more secure version with STP or FTPS. And also, during the time, it has been developed also to exchange EDI over the internet. Of course, this brought to the fact that we need to, since the information we are exchanging on EDI can be really sensitive, we are talking about money, orders, and really sensitive information for the company. The requirement here is to have a high level of security, especially when we exchange message over the internet. I'm not going to spend much word on FTP or STP because I think everybody knows how they work. What I think is interesting is spend few words on AES. AES stands for Application Statement Protocol. Now, this is a protocol built over HTTP. It adds some feature to it, specifically for EDI exchange. So it requires the 2 parts to exchange certificate and encrypt their payload. So this means the payload is secured. And also, basically, it has an acknowledge mechanism called MDN, Message Disposition Notification. This will guarantee that if you send an order to one of your partners and the partner will send you the MDN, this means that the order has been accepted. And it has also legal value. I mean, you can rely on the fact that the order has been received and must be processed. It's not only for technical exchange. Now, this as a SHU has become one of the more popular protocol used on EDI. And the fun fact is that basically was Walmart in USA to bring it to this popular, because they choose it as their standard protocols when talking about EDI. And so all the supplier, all the partners that work with Walmart need to adapt to it. And this made it really popular. Also, we have what we call the value added network, VANs. Basically, what are the VANs? VANs are a company that became ADI provider. That's a sort of ADI provider as a service. So if your company wants to start exchanging ADI messages, but you don't want to create an implementation from scratch, you can start using one of the VAN. The pro is that, of course, you don't have to implement the full solution from the beginning, because they take care of exchanging messages, connecting with partner, etc. But this can be not a really good idea in the long term, especially because they make you pay per message. So if you have a large number of messages, it will cost a lot. And also, if you have many partners you want to connect to, often you need to be on more than one VAN, because each partner has, maybe they want to use this one and the other one, and you are forced to connect to many of them, and your cost will still increase. So in the long term, probably, if your company relies highly on ADI, it is a good idea to implement it. And this is where MuleSoft came to the rescue, of course. So MuleSoft has many connectors to support ADI. We have connectors to support the different standards and formats, and connectors to support the different transport protocols. I want to spend a few words about the AS2 connector. So MuleSoft has a dedicated AS2 connector. The first thing it's worth mention about it is that it's Drummond certified. What does it mean? Drummond is an independent company that validates and certifies ADI implementation. Often it is a requirement, especially when you work with a big partner, that your implementation is certified. So if you use this connector to exchange ADI message on AS2, you are certified. Means that Drummond tested the connector and validate and certify that all the features required are working and present. What the connector does, basically takes care of all the transport and MDN part. So when you send a message, it is being automatically encrypted, signed with the certificates, and also the knowledge is sent automatically. Of course, you can theoretically also implement it in your own, even in MuleSoft, but this will require a long time in development, and also it can be hard to maintain. The second connector I would like to highlight a bit, it's the EDIFACT connector. So what's the advantage of the EDIFACT connector? Basically, if you use the MuleSoft EDIFACT connector, you can parse and or create in both directions every type of EDIFACT message with few clicks. It's really easy. And since I said in the beginning that new versions are released 2-3 times per year, even if you need to update your version or you onboard a new partner that requires a different version, it's really easy. You don't need to rewrite or re-implement a lot of code. If you do it manually, you need to take care of all the different segments and manually parse row by row the flat file. It can be really complicated and time-consuming. Let's see now how the connector, the EDIFACT connector work. So here on the left, you have an example of flat order EDIFACT message. Once the message is taken as input in the connector automatically creates a middle, let's say, data model, where it's a Java map, and it contains all the segments and all the information written from the original file. Now, once you have it in this format, it's really easy with DataWeave, which is the standard scripting language in MuleSoft, to manipulate it and transform it into whenever you need to. Usually, the good idea here is to create a common data model that represents your business object, so that from many different sources, you will have always the same object, the same structure that you can reuse and send to different systems. Of course, this also works in an opposite direction. So you can start from your common data model using data to create this middle format and then send it to the EDIFACT connector that will create for you the flat EDIFACT EDI message file.
So, question.
Yeah, sure.
A bit quiet still. Does it mean that using the connector, maybe I don't have to really know everything about the EDIFACT standard? Because it's great how you explained it, right? But also it could be that for the newer developers that today work with JSON and easy message formats, they might wonder, oh, how do I do that? Right? How do I transform an EDIFACT to JSON? I mean, the lightweight version.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Basically, you don't need to understand exactly all where the message are format, but you can consider it as a JSONify ADI message. Of course, you still need to understand the meaning of each. If you give it a look at the middle transformation, it's still in EDI language, meaning you don't have like line item or something like that, but you have LIN01. So you need to know what is the content. But depends also where you need to send your file, because maybe many ERP already know this middle language, so or someone can provide you the mapping between ADI and this, and so you can basically don't understand ADI at all and still be able to convert it.
Thank you.
No problem. So before going to the demo, I would like to show you what a typical architecture of ADI can be done. Of course, here I'm using the API-led pattern. I think many of you, if you work with MuleSoft, you probably already heard about it. Anyway, the connectors, both for standard and transport in this architecture diagram, are used in the experience layer. So this means that we have many different partners here that use someone X12 over AS2, someone EDIFACT over AS2. So we are combining standards and protocols. The good thing is that we have here listener on the different protocol systems and connector that will parse the different standards. So once we reach the middle layer, we are already in the common format, meaning that from here and below, we don't need to know anything about ADI. And still, we are able to send all the information to the system downstream. So here I put some example. It can be CRM with Salesforce. It can be ESP as ERP or many different ERP. Okay, the demo part. It's just a quick demo. Basically, what I want to show you is how the message is converted. So we are simulating to receive an order message on a FTP, parsing it with the FTP connector in MuleSoft. So we'll listen on this folder, we'll take the message as soon as it's arrived, and we'll parse it in JSON format so we can see the output. Unfortunately, we don't have a real ERP system installed right now, so I will show you the output as a JSON format from the log. So let's hope it works. Here is the FTP. Let me check if I'm connected. Yeah, so here is the EDIFACT folder where our FTP connector is listing for new message. I have a sample message. Guess what? It's again an orders. It uses EDIFACT, and here we can see it's an order. The version is the D97A. It contains some line items, some information about the sender and the receiver, and so on. So I can take this message and put it in the folder. Now, if we check the log of our MuleSoft application, we should be able, in a few seconds, to see if the message has been received and parsed. Let's see. Log are not really in real time, especially on Cloud Dev 2. It takes some seconds, but here we are. Okay, so here we have a log that tells us that the file has been received, has been recognized as ediform version D97A, and here we have the output. So here is the JSON output of the message that they show you before as a flat file in EDI. Also, we can do the opposite. So what I want to show you now is that I can take this message from the log as it is, and now I'm calling through Postman MuleSoft API that will basically pass this payload to the Edifact connector again. It will generate the Edifact. So in this time we are simulating, we are sending an EDI message, and we are sending through the AS2 protocols. So I can send a message. Here is the response of the AS2 server. We found online a van that give you AS2 server for tests. So we use that to send it. And of course, we configure all the certificate, all the validation needed. So this is the response we forwarded from this van. Is saying it is been accepted, and it's showing us the signature. And we can go on the web interface. This. And our message should be here. Yes, here it is. So if I open this message and I check the payload, here again, we have exactly the Edifact message that we created before. So we took that, put it into our system, transform it to JSON, hypothetically send it to ERP, and then created the response and send it back to AS2. So if you don't have any other question, I think my session is complete, and I will, yeah, go ahead.
I have two questions. So first of all,
Sorry, just a second. I come with a laptop, so also
the
the
questions from the online.
We have.
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
right. So the first question.
Yes.
Here we
You
go.
can hear me? Yeah, sure. Is it a premium connector?
Yes, they are premium connector.
Okay. And the second question was, well, when I work with EDI and EDI partners, there's standards are nice, but there's a lot of, often there's customers, clients that say that they use the standard.
But they customize it,
They
right?
customize maybe like one field
Mhm.
or one value or something like that. Is there a way to override the standard Edifact?
Yes, there is. So
value?
the way the connector is structured, it's that you load some XML file into the connector to tell the supported type of message. And the good thing is that you have access to this XML file. So you can easily customize it and adapt it to, let's say, non-purely standard implementation. So still, I mean, you can also write one from scratch and define a new standard, but usually, as you said, what happened is that they added one field or they changed something on one field. So you can take, for instance, the order message XML definition file and just add a new segment or what you need. So still, with the connector, you can easily adapt to custom implementation. No problem. Any other question?
Okay, so there are no questions in the chat. Any other question from the? Sorry, just I saw it now. Just landed now, exactly. Okay, let me raise the question in person. What are the common challenges when implementing EDI solution using MuleSoft?
Well, there are many actually. I think the biggest challenge is to create an implementation that it's flexible enough and customizable enough to let you onboard new partner or change partner or combine. But I think for this, and I will propose as the best possible solution to do that. But yeah, I think the key factor here is really create an architecture that can adapt to many different partner and many different message type without trying to maximize the reuse of the code that you have, so you can save time.
Okay, thank you. I guess no more question now. Nothing is landing in the chat. So thank you, Luca.
My pleasure. I hope
for
you
the
enjoyed.
presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is screen sharing working for the ones following online? Yeah, excellent. And I guess you can hear me as well online, not just in the room. But you can hear me in the room. Yes. Okay.
Definitely we can.
Great, great. So hi everyone. Yeah, cool. So I'm Anna Chirițescu. I'm a solution engineer with MuleSoft. And yeah, for me, the MuleSoft meetups are very my heart, because I really think that when we meet and share knowledge, talk about product challenges, magic happens, right? Overall, today, my focus will be on covering, or I will be focusing on the same topic that Luca started with, Partner Manager, but then on that leading question, I think it was a very interesting one. How can you make your B2B implementation easier to manage, easier to maintain when you have at-scale implementations? Okay. So briefly, for that, we will look into Anypoint Partner Manager, what that is, and also zoom into two specific demos, right? So it's not, even though I'm a solution engineer, pre-sales stuff, today we will keep it product-oriented and we will look into the platform. And then please make this as conversational as possible. Alberto will help me with questions in the chat and also in the room, okay? And then Joe, you will help me with time management with the 5 minutes left. Very good. Good. So what is Anypoint Partner Manager, right? So as I mentioned, we are still in the B2B space, right, of the topic. But basically, it is an extension of Anypoint platform, of our platform, which gives you the ability to onboard trading partners in an easier way. So it helps you to configure that exchange of B2B transactions between partners by using the interface low-code configuration clicks versus coding it. So if today, right, you would be using the EDI connector to process that order between partner A and partner B, you might be configuring the partner profile, right, their preferred delivery methods, message exchange format, etc., in your MuleSoft application in the implementation. You might do that programmatically, and then you would need to handle it for each partner, whereas Partner Manager would lift that up. But I will show you what I mean. So overall, the focus is to simplify how you onboard partners and also give you the ability to easily understand the operations of your B2B platform. So tracking, monitoring what's happening with orders, with processes, with invoices, with transportation-related messages. So it's quite critical. And then in terms of the technical overview, what I'm trying to show in this slide is really that B2B Partner Manager, they are pretty much, they are not a different thing. They are not siloed from integration, right? As you build your, let me see here. As you build your APIs, your composable building blocks, system process, experience APIs, etc., you might interact with the e-commerce app, with an IoT device, or with a trading partner, right? So they would be here. And then you would be doing that through different protocols, their preferred delivery methods, right? The AS2, SFTP, FTP, etc. And as we see here, moving forward, there is modernization happening also in this space of
EDI, electronic data interchange. So some partners might already be able to exchange documents through APIs, API to API, or otherwise they support HTTP, HTTPS, and then you could actually manage those endpoints directly with MuleSoft. So it's the unified platform that gives you the flexibility. And then tying it to what we've seen Luca's demo, right? Where does it fit, right? Where should I look at it? How can Partner Manager help me in the exchange of documents? So the idea is, as you have your integrations with different systems of records, right? SAP, ERP, Slack, etc., and you look into the processes, so handling, order processing, etc., you would have different channels that you need that would use this capability, right? So I might want to place an order from a website, from a web app, or from a trading partner, such as here, okay? So Partner Manager is here at the experience level, where you would have the ability to recognize the partner, you configure to recognize and accept the messages, plus transform, and then send it further to your process APIs. Does it make sense? Any questions so far? No? Okay. Abstract? Good understanding? How many of you in the room, and maybe online as well, but I can't check, heard of Partner Manager, Anypoint Partner Manager? Okay, so quite a few here in the room. Good, I'm happy to see this. Online?
No feedback. No feedback yet.
No feedback yet. Okay. So for the demo purposes, as you see here, we have two partners that we will be looking into today. So Camel Clothing, that have as a preferred way to exchange orders with us. It will be mythical for the demo purposes through EDIFACT orders. And then Nile, another partner who is actually exchanging JSON, sending JSON orders through HTTPS. Okay. So in this one here, the key is that we show how you would solve the similar use case that Luca showed earlier by lifting the trading partner configuration in Partner Manager, which makes sense when you need to have this for 10, 20, 30 trading partners whose profiles change often, okay? So I will go for that into Anypoint platform, into Partner Manager, and I will show you the configuration of the partner and how we make the EDIFACT order be received by the Experience API in the trading partner and then sent further down the process APIs. So let me go into Anypoint Partner Manager. I don't know if the font is big enough. Maybe I can zoom in a bit, right? So for the demo purposes, I will be Mythical or Anypoint Partner Manager Cloud Hub. Basically, with Partner Manager, you configure a host, which would be you, the trading partner that exchanges and receives different business documents. And at this level, we configure different identifiers, just as the ones that you've seen in Luca's demo. For instance, an EDIFACT identifier. Then you have the ability to add certificates, endpoints, so on the identifiers, you want to recognize when a document is coming. Is this something I should receive? If yes, where should it go? And the endpoints is the preferred way for partners and Mythical, so the host, to exchange the information on the different protocols. And then the support for different message types, right? We had it in the slide, EDIFACT, X12, variations of those, JSON, XML, etc. You also have the ability to choose if you want to track other identifiers, custom identifiers, and attributes, and then various settings. I think this is a nice one to briefly show because with Partner Manager, you have the ability to check to configure in a standard way validation rules. These are very important. So instead of saying I want, instead of writing a Mule application that validates that component separator in an edifact is semicolon, you can just configure it here, and then it will be used part of the processing. Similarly, when it comes to receiving, sending documents. And then we move further to the trading partners. Who are the partners with whom I'm exchanging documents? And here I have a list, of course, but today we will check Camel, right? So I will, you see here, very similar configuration as for the host. And also they would want to receive an acknowledgement on this endpoint, which is configured. Similarly, the delivery preferences. There are two other sections I would like to show you in Partner Manager. One is message flows. So this is where you basically configure what you want to happen with the business document once it reaches the platform. And it is visual, standard. So let me open the one already created. We could also do it from scratch, but in interest of time, I'm opening it up. So you will see this is a configurable way. It's like you have several cards where you add from where you want to receive the document, to which endpoint you want that to be added. And this is where you reuse configuration from Partner Manager. Then what type of message you receive, like an edifact in this case, whether you want to send a functional acknowledgement. Yes, I received the document. We will continue to process it. This is very important, right? So you do it with a check of a box versus implementing that in the code. And then here you have the data with transformation, which is so transforming from edifact to JSON. So what I would do here, right, if I start from Lucas' demo, if at some point we decide, hey, there are a lot of trading partners that use this integration, let's lift the Partner Manager related configuration in here in Partner Manager. I could take from Lookup the data with transformation. We can reuse it. So many we see with customers as well. Some of them might start using first just the connectors, and then as they add more and more partners, they might enhance that with Partner Manager. And lastly, so you have source, transformation, and target. Target is where should my order invoice be sent. And in our case here, this is your process API, which is again built with MuleSoft in this case, right? So it's in here, process order. I configure in Partner Manager that my edifact order should, once it's received, validated, and transformed to a JSON, it should be sent as input to the process API. And the beauty of it, again, is that this same process API might be called from a web app, from a mobile app, in a non-EDI scenario as well. So you get reuse. Okay? Once you deploy this flow, it's running in Cloud Hub. So there are MuleSoft applications behind that are deployed. And you can run Partner Manager today in Cloud Hub 1 or on premises on Runtime Fabric. And later on, there will be Cloud Hub 2 support. Okay. And the final part here is around activity tracking. So this is where you have visual representation and understanding of the documents that are being processed, right? So if you want to see what are all my orders that I received today, you can just do a date range, which was by default today, and you see visually what was received, right? So there's no need to go through the Mule applications in the logs and try to tie that transaction ID, message ID. You actually have the ability to visually see it. So let me show you a brief example here. I will simulate that Camel sends us to Mythical an edifact order. I'm using Postman. as a client, right? And I see I get 200 OK. It's over AS2. So we have also the information around MDN. And then I will do a refresh here. So you see that the order came in. There are different statuses of processing it. So now it's in process, not yet delivered. And as I look into that, again, through the UI, you get all the details you would need. So typically, integration teams might handle the integration, but sometimes the troubleshooting or initial configuration is done by the EDI teams. Right, so for them, they wouldn't need to be integration experts. If they need to check what's happening with an order, an invoice, they can actually use the UI and track it. So you can identify the message, part of which transaction transmission ID is, because you might have order responses, acknowledgements being sent. What's the flow, where this was configured. So the flow, as I was mentioning earlier, right, the 3 parts: source, transform, send, or target. And then from the screen, you can see where the message was sent, how it came in to the platform. You can actually see the EDIFACT, the original message received. There's a setting if you want to download it as well. And similarly, you can see where it went further and what was the outcome. So it was a EDIFACT to JSON, then this is the result of the transformation. So you have everything in one screen. And then if, let's say, for some reason, your maybe this processing or transformation failed, or maybe you want to resend it because you realize that, I don't know, the file was missing on the SFTP, there was an upgrade, you name it, you can actually replay. So you can replay a transaction, whether it's a failure or it looks as a success, but you might have another reason to run it. And you do it with a click of a button. So what replay means is that it runs once again the same flow process when the message comes in the platform. Yeah, I see the sign of 5 minutes. Thank you, Joe. And let me show you briefly also the less happy scenario, right? When an error happens. And I'm simulating that again here. I'm sending a test message. But the message was received, but something is, you will see, not quite right. Yeah. So we have an error here. As you see, it's a very user-friendly error. You don't need to read Java, namespaces of classes, etc. It says interchange has failed. The transformation has failed EDIFACT validation. And then you have additional details on the error, that an identifier is longer than configured. So it's not valid. So with this, right, you can actually check what caused it. I mean, you know what created it. So the message was too long. We can look into that. Let's see the message here. And then Luca will know everything about the actual source and why it wasn't good, right? So we have this BGM, really long purchase order number. And how we triggered it, right? It's quite simple. On Camel, on the partner profile, there is a validation setting saying when we receive a message from Camel, enforce the usual EDIFACT length limits, right? So it's very, very standard, and it adds value when you need to have this in place for multiple partner profiles and exchanges, okay? And then the last point, as I know when we were doing the prep with Alberto, Luca, Alessandro, Giulio, etc., there's a big team behind this event. There was high interest in how do you manage endpoint, right, that you use in Partner Manager. So basically here, let me show you, right, is the second use case where we receive a JSON order and then it's over HTTPS. So in Partner Manager, you can actually use an endpoint that's managed with the API Manager capability. So it's nothing but, let me show you here the flow. Is that the right name? No. So when an order comes in, right, we want to send it to, we actually want to manage that. We want to apply policies. We want to have monitoring, security, governance on top. And this is the endpoint that is used, which is nothing but a MuleSoft application running in Cloud Hub. And then this endpoint, we configured it through the API Manager as you would manage any API or any endpoint in the platform. So there is an active instance where it was added. And then you can get also statistics on that. Okay. And then just to show it as a demo as well, here somewhere in here. So we receive a JSON order. You can see actually the order here, right? It looks better to the eye than maybe EDIFACT or X12, which are still very relevant standards, highly used today. And then we see it was accepted. So I can go back to Partner Manager and go into the activity flow where I see the messages received. So there's additional configuration here, meaning we received the order, but then we also have a tracking update. But this is the actual JSON that we received. This is the endpoint, which was configured and it's managed through the API Manager. And this is the actual message. And then from JSON, right, we were talking about canonical model, common data format, common data model. So even if it's a JSON, right, you might want to still transform it into what your organization expects as data model in the process API. And then it's being sent further to your ERP, etc., CRM, etc. Okay. So I think I'm on time. So with this, we can open for questions. And I should mute. Okay, 1 second.
No, should be good now. No, close it. Okay, so we have a question from the remote audience. Some question in the same message. So how easy is it to handle batch messages processing in MuleSoft for receiving and sending to partners? How large can EDI files be handled in MuleSoft? For example, retail stores, weekly, monthly sales reports, etc.
Okay, great question.
Unmute.
Okay, good. So do you have some there? No, here. Okay, ping pong. So great question. So how easy it is to handle batch message processing in MuleSoft for receiving and sending to partners? Yeah, so the receiving this endpoint that receives the messages is a MuleSoft application, right? So with that, you do get the usual capabilities for handling batch processes, batch messages. And then when it comes to Anypoint Partner Manager, when it runs in Cloud Hub, it's using Anypoint MQ under the hood. And as far as I know, we have there a limitation on the size of the message that should go to a queue. It's, I think it was 10 MB, right? 10 MB, and we can expand it to 30 MB megabytes, right? So it depends a bit on the deployment model. But since it's a batch, you can actually set the size limit on that before you send it to Anypoint MQ. So we have Anypoint MQ for reliability between receive, transform, send, the different phases in Partner Manager of the process. And then when you run it on premises, we are using ActiveMQ. Okay. The next question, how large can EDI files be handled in MuleSoft? So we kind of answered to that, right? So it's about how, if you chuck them into smaller pieces, it's the usual handling of batching. Was there anything else, Kuldeep Gupta? Did we answer your question?
Take care of also the question.
Great. So claims, thanks Murali. So claims are huge files for sometimes, but Anypoint Partner Manager data weave is very much capable to handle. Thanks. Okay, so it wasn't a question, it was knowledge sharing. As I said, great. I really like that part of meetups. Anything else here?
No.
For the ones joining us on site, right, there's been lunch, which I think is very good. I see empty trays. And also there are a few MuleSoft swags as well. So this is a bit of a benefit when joining in person. Good. I think
Thank you, Anna. Thank you also again, everyone, for joining and to contribute with your question and feedback. Again, let me ask you if anyone is interested to join our team. Contact us. We are looking for new speaker, supporter, friend, and mates in general. So happy to enlarge the family. Bye-bye.
And we will share the deck and recording.
Exactly. Thanks for remembering me. We will share the recording and the deck to all the attendees, remote and on-site in person.
And there will be feedback.
Yes.
I've done this before, you can see.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.